That looks creepy. Look at it. Okay. Stressful to keep them apart. As long as they're in the cage, it's okay. But they're still like, she's kind of aggressive, so towards cats and probably people. She'll bark at them. It's really loud. It's like ear piercing barks. So you'll be like, you can just be sitting there, just enjoying your day, and it'll be like a really loud bark, and it'll hurt. See? Okay. Strange accidents and difference have occurred in Blackwood Pines, leading to ongoing investigation, taking the camera in hopes of capturing evidence of a mystical beast thought to be living there. Yay. We tested to record enough footage needed to the beast to find at least 3 corpses of people before escaping the forest. The test is record enough footage needed of the beast to find at least 3 corpses. Okay. Okay, so we gotta find some dead people. Tips. Gear and items can be found in the forest. Use them to your advantage. Keep in mind weapons can't kill creatures, only stun them for a few seconds. Noise attracts it to creature, including firing gunshots, hitting metal containers, whistling. Use it to your advantage. Creature is sensitive and aware of you recording him and will react accordingly. Use flashlight. I don't want to play this right now. Most important is to remember your goal is to record a creature, not kill it. Okay. You can see how much footage you already have recorded by holding tab. E to pick up, right mouse to start recording, right mouse to start recording. Use items, space to jump, WSD. Move mouse wheel. Hey Reaper. Thanks for joining. Select footage, show footage tab, escape, shift, running, reload, F, flashlight, so cute. I can remember this. Cool. You can have as many medikits, batteries, ammo as you can. Okay. Batteries. Medikits. Ammo. Loading. And now you get to see my live reaction of when I get scared. I might just leave. I might just take off my headphones and like walk out. Hey Grizzly. I'm just gonna walk away. Man. Flashlight. It's a flashlight. And so we're looking for a creature. And I just hear whispering in my ear. And what else? Sound. They can hear sound. I'm not scared of bunny rabbits. I need to find out what's the flashlight. No, the flashlight. Okay, it doesn't run out of batteries. I don't think my camera does. But I don't think it's said. I can kinda hear you. Oh, hold on. Well, what about now? It's red. Why is it red? I looked away for like a few seconds and the screen's red now. I don't wanna be here. But so he can hear like metal sounds, right? So they're saying like maybe turn the flashlight back on. And there's a house over there, so I'll just go to the house while I look around. Cause they said they can see the light as well. But I don't think this is gonna be scary. It's just a game where you're looking for. How do you record? I forgot how to record. Do you see it? It's down there. Look at him. Did he see me? He's running over here. Wait, I'm not ready for this. Did you see him? Okay. Okay. I'm too excited for this right now. I don't know if I call it excitement actually. Ooh, look at body. You should record it. Ooh. E. And E. 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 Check it. I might be turning the daytime. Maybe. I'm not. Well, turning to night. I've only been here for like a few minutes and it's already night. But I could kind of hear his footsteps. So as long as I'm not moving while it's moving, I should be able to know where it's at. I don't think we can go inside. Here. I want to wait until it's morning or something. It's probably not. There might not even be a day cycle for this game. It might just be like night the whole time. But we'll find out. There's some light over there. Alright, so I can't go this way. But I have a bat. And I have medicine. And my camera. Have I played this before? No, I have not played this yet. So I have no idea. Well, I said the part where they said I have to film a monster, but I don't know if it attacks me or not. So I'm not sure if it has jump scares in this game or anything like that. Mouse is stuck. I guess. Oh, there's a day cycle. Great. I feel more comfortable knowing that it'll be some type of light besides my flashlight to see things. You remind me of a young, a young Logan Paul because I'm filming stuff in the woods. That's great. That's funny. Did I go in a circle? Maybe. Let's go this way. I actually want to go back to that blue thing over there and like hit it with the bat. Because this, if you can hear sound, me hitting something should be able to bring it over here. And the last time I saw him, he was running this way. all red again. I got an achievement. It said metal sound. What game is this? Because it says Rage 2. It's more like spooky. Mike. I hear it. I'm being chased. I hit him. Did I hit him? Can I film you? Hold on. I'm filming you. Where'd you go? Wait. I'm dead. Why am I noticing that you have those right? I don't know. I usually wear my. I have a black one that I wear. Also, because you filmed a dead body, acting excited. I died, and I have chills. I'm cold, and it's really hot in the house, but I'm cold. You gonna go again? I probably should have ran. I tried. I tried to fight him off, but I didn't do well. Oh, this is where I started from? No, this is different. Okay. Alright, so this time I'm going to not die. Go drink some water. I have water right here. Well, it's empty. Here, wait. If I put it here, right here, you probably still hear me breathing. Sometimes my breathing is intense, especially since I'm playing this right now. It's not gonna help any. Um, Either that was a big rabbit or that was just a person crawling on the ground. But we're not gonna worry about that right now. Thank you. It sounds a little better. How much? Oh, get a space too, so we can identify him later on. Alright, so last time I hit the bat with the metal box and that didn't turn out too well. So I gotta figure out how to get him over here. I can whistle too, but I'm not sure. Am I supposed to just like attract him to me and then hit him and then take a picture of him and then run? Let me see. I can try that. Let's try. So we're gonna stay here. We're gonna have the flashlight on. We're gonna whistle. Did you hear it? I feel like I should move away from the area. Turn my flashlight on, please. Have the camera ready. The rabbit. Alright, I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna whistle. And then we're gonna move to a different spot. So I'll whistle here. And I'll run over here. So the whistling doesn't seem to be working right now. So I'm gonna have to do. Wait, there he is. Do you see him? Wait. Oh no. Wait. He's running here. Okay. Okay. Hit him with the bat. Right. We're gonna hit him with the bat. No. We did. Hey, I'm alive. I'm still alive. How do I use this? Can I use it? Okay. I'm still alive. We're doing good. We're just gonna run. We're gonna keep on running. Oh, we're good. Okay. Watch for the eyes. Watch for the eyes. Eyes, please. Hide behind Fawn, please. um, I did good. I'm alive. I lived. I wasn't able to hit him with the bat though. I should have did better. I kept the little mouse wheelie thing isn't like the best. I can press. Oh wait, I'll probably use the buttons instead. 1 and 3. So 2 and 3. So let's go back to 3. But I was able to film him a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, well, if I get on somewhere high enough like this is a rock. That means I'll have time to, he will have to run behind me and get on this rock to grab me. I want to see how high I can get. This might be a good spot, then I can whistle. Thank you. I don't smile very often. I just do this. I'm gonna whistle. Let's see. We don't need an axe. We have a bat. A bat is all you need. Turn the flashlight on. Because you were saying. Now he could come up behind me probably and potentially grab me. I'm scared. I can't hear footsteps. Let me get my camera ready. He has to come this way, right? He can't get above me, right? And if he does, we have 1 health left. And here's a flashlight. I didn't even know I had a I didn't notice I had a health bar on the bottom left. I don't hear anything from him. But I'm gonna go back this way so I don't have the rocks behind me. And the camera, I'm gonna go this way. Okay, let's try. We're gonna whistle again. How's I gonna get video recording it? Yeah, it is. It is very dark. That's why I didn't even notice I had one. But I feel like I'm at a good vantage point right now. If he came at me at any point, I should be able to hear him or at least see him. And to make sure if my dog's snoring and the sounds in this game are not helping me. Okay, hold on. I just need to. Come on, where's he at? I just have to go look for him. I have to search. Can't stay in my nice little spot I have. Nope. I don't see him. What is that? After today, I will never play this game again. This is a one-time thing. Um, no. Um, if I kill the guy, if I kill the monster, I guess I lose, because I have to film him. I have to make sure I get this bar of footage all the way full before I guess I kill him. I'm gonna do this. Where's the rocks? I'm gonna hit this, and I'm gonna run. Run. Get my camera ready. Jump on some rocks. I forgot which rock I jumped on before to get that high. Maybe it's over here. Oh no, it's getting dark again. Hold on. I'm gonna find those rocks. It wasn't that rock? Oh, it was over here. It was over here. See, this wouldn't be good gameplay if I actually recorded this. Because it would be me jumping on hiding on rocks and trying to stay away from this person the whole time. Because I don't even want to go look for him after what happened before. Oh, that scared me. I'm getting scared by animals and creatures just doing their thing. Okay. Flashlight. I have to beat it. I'm not gonna beat this game. I haven't beaten. I think I've only beaten one horror game I've played so far. Not, wait, maybe two. And those were like the first two I played. And I was surprised that even happened because I'm not good at beating horror games. I play them, I get scared, and then I never look at them again. I might be able to let's see, brightness. Oh, he's chasing me. Dang, I heard him. He waited for me to like stop for a second to kill me. I am scared. I died for no reason. I don't have Outlast, and I will never play Outlast. I've watched it. I've watched someone completely beat the game 3 times since it's been out. I don't even think that's the same. Look at this. Okay, you see the monster on the screen, right? And the monster that killed me, 2 different guys. That guy had horns, and he had really sharp teeth. I put the brightness all the way up. So, what's this? Change levels. Next, previous. What does this mean? Only if you have an issue and you can't beat it. Wait, I can go to like a lower level. That's what I need. Put it on easy. Ooh, what's all this? Whoa. There's more stuff. I guess this is the first level, it's the second, it's the third. Yeah, basically. As soon as I got down off the rock, I looked at the thing and I guess pushing escape doesn't doesn't do anything. Okay. Okay. Now last time, what did I do last time? Last time he got me over here. I'm gonna do it the last time. I like this. It's just I gotta figure out where he's coming from. If I can figure out if he's behind me or not. It was weird because last time I could hear him walking, and this time I can't hear him walk anymore. I can turn it up. Why don't we look for the three corpse? I could. You know what? That's what we should do. But where do you look? It's just woods everywhere. Um. Okay, let's do that. Let's go looking again. Let's go this way. I'm not sure if I should walk or run. Was this where I started from? I never know anymore. I don't know. So there's nothing here. I wonder if there's like any caves or anything like that. If there's a cave out here, we might have to do that. We're just gonna have to search like every corner. So we'll look for the bodies first, and we'll film him afterwards. And try to run away. I need to figure out how to get up there. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna use the gun instead. But I need that. Oh. Oh. He didn't like that I found another body. That gave me chills. What do you think he'll do to get the footage? I could all. I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet. Um, well, this is different. We're gonna first, we only need to find one. I think this. I'm pretty sure it said 3 bodies. If it said 3 bodies, and we're good. We only need to find one more, and then I'll just make sounds like whistle, and then maybe stand against something like a wall or the fence, then like do a whistle, then look around, wait for him to come towards me, shoot him, and then get footage, or get footage while he's chasing after me, and then shoot him and then run. I'm, I'm trying to play more serious. I guess you could say that makes more sense. Playing more seriously. Because I don't like losing. Ooh, what is that? It's coming towards us. Back away. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just walking around the edge of the map. And that's how you usually find things. You can run around the edge of the map, see something you haven't seen before, then you go towards it. And I feel more safe against the edge of a map than just out in the open. So then I have to stop and listen. I have 4 medkits. I would like to. I kind of want to see if I can bait the monster over here. But last time, I think it's I think they made the monster in a way that, because as soon as I jumped off the rocks last time, it was like right there, right behind me, which is impossible, since I was I already looked around my whole surroundings of the rock and everything. But it's okay. We're just gonna pretend like that didn't happen. This is the first time I'm playing it right now. Alright. Gotta keep on going. Keep on pushing forward. Stay against the edge of the map. Look around. Listen out for sounds. Okay. So this is where we started off. This is our car. So I think I went around the whole map. I think maybe I might be wrong because I kind of went forward and then I went backwards. But we'll just go around again because we already picked up the gun. I think there's one more item maybe. There's like a 5. It's a 2 and a 5. I think 2 means how many bodies there are out of 5. Maybe. Here's another body. And all we did was stay against the edge of the map to find it. Okay, and a medkit. Thank you. I don't know, were we supposed to film the bodies? I don't know if it said, but we'll do that anyways. So people can remember who they are, all that stuff. Don't have to. There we go. It wasn't even loaded. Running around with an unloaded gun. That's not safe. Stressed out. I can't. I mean, I am. You don't see it? You don't see it? It's on my face. The stress is there. Smiling makes you not as scared when you play. I'm scared on the inside, I promise. So the blue one's over there, the red one's here, and then there's a cabin across from us. That way. It's too dark to see it now. But I haven't seen the monsters in a while. I don't think I've seen them so far since this is the third time going through the game. Oh, we're back at the rocks from before that I was hiding on. So this seems like a good time to do that again. The sound of the rocks, the sound of the stepping on the rocks is terrifying. No, I think the other body's up here somewhere, but I can't get up there. They made this for a reason. So there has to be something up here, right? But I can't get up there. Smiling is making me smile. Thank you. There he is. Camera! Where's my camera? That's not my camera. I forgot how to use the camera. No. Where did he go? I shot him 4 times though. Put 4 bullets in him. Okay. I forgot. Okay, so pressing number 1 is for my camera. We have to remember that. 1 is the camera, 2 is for the gun. 1 camera, 2 for gun. 1 camera, 2 gun. Okay. This is a good spot. I'm gonna do that again. Hold on, we're staying right here. I'm not moving. I saw exactly where he was coming from and everything. It was perfect. But he's gonna fall from the sky or something. Okay, let's do it again. Alright. I'm ready for him. I try. I got scared. Okay, when I get scared, I forget. It's not like I'm not using a controller. I'm using the mouse and keyboard, and sometimes my fingers can't reach the buttons fast enough. But it's okay. I got it this time. This time, I'm ready. I have the camera and the button, and I have my camera out already, so there's no way I can mess up. And I feel like if I turn away and not look for just a moment, he's gonna catch up on me. So I'm just gonna keep looking this way until I see him again. That was a good chance. That would have been perfect too, because it was like a lot of footage there. He was running towards us for like a good few seconds, and I kind of like got him with the camera jumping in the air. It would have been great. And now I'm scared to move. Should I move or should I stay here? I try. I hope this is entertaining. Me just laughing, and I'm scared right now. I should put like I need a fan. It's hot, and I'm scared to not look away at my screen. I'm just gonna grab my fan. Just gonna grab my fan. There we go. Okay, I guess we have to move because he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that I'm not moving. So we're gonna move a little bit. Hello, good sir. No, he's here! I got him on camera a little bit. No, I didn't. Why does he have to be like this? This man is mean. I just want to look at you. I just want to look. Don't even let me look. He ran fast. It was too dark. I couldn't see him. It's not my fault. He knew I was scared. He was like, oh, he's scared now. Get him. But I think this is what I'm looking at. I'm thinking now. Okay, so as soon as I gotta heal. Hold on, we're healing. Can I get more of this? Okay. I gotta go back to my spot. We're gonna wait. We will wait right here until I can see. I need to be daytime, and I can film him this time. I couldn't see him. He got like blocked up into those trees, and that was it. I should stand here. But he can come at me at the right side. That'd be horrible. But that's what I'm saying. He ran too fast. Like how your messages, they're not going through. It's like R U E F D F J L G K M O P. All right, so we're gonna do it again. I'm going to whistle, and look how long it takes to take the camera out. It's really bad. Okay, let me think. Okay, let's do it. Whistle one. Oh, the day is changing so fast. I hear him. Where are you? I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. No. I knew you were gonna come get me. I knew it. Who are you? This is good footage, though. Okay, okay. So I think we got something here. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. I'm going to okay, I think I have a plan, but it's gonna get me killed. And wow, I didn't get anything from that. I don't know what they expect from me. Let's go. Let's look. I'm gonna look for this other body. I'm just gonna look for the other body. Or maybe I'll see him walking around doing his monster thing. You know? Like that. Okay, one is the camera. Film him. Film him. Come on. Let's go. Two. I don't have my gun! I pressed a button. I pressed a button. You suck. Camera. I'm just gonna film you. Dang it. Yeah, I think it's the only instant death once he hits me when I don't heal. Right now I have no more healing medikits, so the next time he attacks me after this is it. I'm gonna die. And that time I was ready for him. I could see him clearly. I could record him a little bit. I don't even have half. But try. I just suck at switching guns. I tried to switch to my gun and I couldn't do it. I don't even know where to go. I'm still in shock. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna look. I need to find this last body. I'm just not sure where to look anymore because I went around the whole map already on the edge. Now I have to look in the middle. But I don't know where to go on from the middle. I'm sure this has to be more items we can use as well. There he is. I don't know. Sometimes I have my moments where I'm okay and I'm like chill, and I can like accomplish my goal that I have in mind. And other times I'm like, oh no, doing that. So I have to remember that this is just a game, and nothing can hurt me. Unless for some reason it comes through the screen and starts grabbing me, then it's a whole different story. Alright, I've been over here because I remember this fence. And I walked all across around the whole fence, and then we almost kinda don't have half. Almost don't kinda. Alright, where we at? Where are we at? Where are we? I think the flashlight definitely helps though, because I without the flashlight I don't think I would have seen him. But I'm just happy there's only one of him and not 2 or 3. hear you. I don't see you. But it sounded like you were in front of me. I got crazy chills just now. But I see something I haven't seen before, I think. No? Have we been here? No, we've been here. Oh. Yo, he can't get me in this house. I'm good. Oh, going back to my favorite spot. Last time he hit me at the corner over here. I still have to figure out how to get up here. So as soon as this is daytime again, I'll try to get up there. Cause I think the last body's up here. I might be wrong, but I feel like they wouldn't have put this here for no reason, right? Looks too nice. I don't think he's gonna sneak up on me because the last few times he's just walked up around me. I think I'm trying to think. The only time he snuck up on me is that one time when I was on the rock and I was trying to whistle for him. But it's about to be daytime. This man's been awake for how many days and nights? No sleep. Wait, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Whoa, what was that? That was different. No, don't run. Okay, well, I'm probably gonna die now. That was my last time. He didn't grab me this time. He kind of like did something different. Can we go up here? No. I think that's it. I think we're gonna die. I have 5 bullets left and a bat. I got scared because I wasn't ready for him. There has to be a way up there, right? This is a fence. Maybe just the fence is just saying, hey, you can't go this way, so don't try. Oh wait, you can have fall damage? I'm gonna die. Anything up there? You've been up all night, no sleep? How? How do you do that? I can't. At a certain point, at a certain time, my body's like, alright, time to sleep. And that's it. I sleep. Wait, do you see him over there? Look at him. Being all weird. He's on the loose. He's on a run. He's on a run. Like an episode of what is it, TMZ or something? We're trying to record this guy out here in the woods, Bigfoot. We got nothing from that. That's crazy. There's no way I would beat this game. I'm not that good. I can't even find the other body. I can't see anything. There's blood on the screen. The moon's moving. Yeah. Yeah. It's like really dark. Does my flashlight even work? Do you not see my health bar right now? My health bar. Look at it. I have no health. If he touches me, if he like looks at me, I'm gonna die. It looks like my OBS is like freaking out. It's like encoder overload. So yeah, that's cool. And look, I'm back at the beginning of the game. If I could just find like one med kit, I'll probably be okay. But I can't survive another touch. There's gotta be something I missed. I know I missed something, I just don't know what. I don't know where to look. Oh, not that way. Hey guy, hello. I have a question for you, sir. Where did you go? Oh. Huh? Oh, look. A dead body. What? How? I'll take that though. There's more stuff for me to take, right? That ammo? Take it. Okay, so let's heal up. Alright. So we have all 5 bodies. There's no limit on medkits. They said you can have as many ammo and medkits and whatever you want, if you can find it. I would hope it's random spawns. Random spawns would be nice. But I don't think the game is that nice. And I still don't have enough footage anyways. I don't see myself. There's no way. No way. I think it's safer to run into him, like just accidentally like walk into him and say, "Oh, here you go," instead of calling him to me. If I call him, I don't know where he's gonna come from. But at least I made progress. I feel better about myself. If I didn't make any progress at all, I'll be upset. Is it true that you just... He didn't want to answer the question. I can't even think of a question fast enough. But next time I'll ask him, I'm like, is it true that, I don't know. Is it true you just love to be naked? I don't know. Was he wearing clothes? Maybe his skin is his clothes. Oh, for a minute I thought my flashlight like ran out of power. Wait, did it? Flashlight? And now I don't know what to do. Um, I need more footage. The only way to beat this level is more footage. But dang, that's a lot. That's a lot. Oh no, I didn't want to push that button. No. No. Now I'm gonna die. I was trying to see what other buttons I could push, and I pressed whistle. Maybe he won't listen to my whistle. Maybe he didn't hear it. I just started shooting. That was the worst thing I could ever do. I just started shooting. Yeah. I'm done. That was it. Well, that was good. This is a good game. Um, if you like the game, just go on Steam and type in what's the name of this game again? Raw footage, and it'll be there, so you can play it and beat it yourself. So you can see the ending. Cause I just ran out of my bullets, so I'm not gonna beat this thing. I can beat him with a bat. Wait, I have 3 bullets left. Hold on, we're good. Never mind. We might be able to do something. I had 3 bullets and a bat. I got scared. I'm not gonna lie. I got scared. I heard the water splashing, and I freaked out. I didn't know which direction he was coming from, so I started shooting, hoping I would shoot him at least once, but I failed. Yeah, which I just couldn't do it. It happened. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm just gonna let it end. I gotta end it, guys. I want to just go kill myself. Wait, you hear him? Okay, I thought he was chasing me. Never mind. Never mind. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I'm gonna go bang on this metal box with a bat, and then I'm gonna shoot him. It said I can't kill him, but it says you can kill him. I think it said that in the beginning of the game, something like that. I'm gonna go find that box and like hit it. Yes, you can. You both can play it. Come out, Mr. Monster. Da, 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 da. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit him with the bat. I'm just gonna click it as fast as possible and just do what I have to do. Film him. You hear him? He's coming. Alright, I see ya. I see ya. I hit him. I hit him. I promise I hit him with the bat. Okay, that's it. Whew. I'm sleepy. I'm gonna get some more pizza. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for everyone that who watched. Hopefully you enjoyed my Rage 2 that lasted like 10 minutes or so, how long it took. This game was fun. I enjoyed it. It was more fun because I had you guys watching, and I wasn't as scared as I probably would have been if I was playing by myself. I would. wonder if I can make let's see. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream now. Thanks for watching.